Welcome back to our continued coverage of the 2025 Technology Council, but wait, there's more, Operations and Member Experience Council Conference here in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona. Brought to you by the fine folks at America's Credit Unions. And in the studio lounge, look who we have here, the fine folks from Metallicus. They're in the studio lounge. We have Marshall Hayner right next to me. Marshall, how are you?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us on,
Nice
Mike.
to see you in person. We've had a couple of interviews on Zoom, but now we get to see you guys in person here. And then right next to Marshall is Irina Burkin. Did I get it right, Irina?
Correct.
Oh, yes. Been practicing for hours. Finally got it right. How are you, Irina?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Glad you guys are here. How's the show going? Any highlights to share? Marshall, you want to?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Meeting all of the different credit unions and QSO vendors, and just this. We were just talking about it. It's great, this conference here, because there's so many of the executive team here, and it feels so intimate.
That's a good
and
thing.
It's just a great place to network, but also to make partnerships.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it seems like the attendees at this conference in particular are here for a specific reason, not just to kind of mill about and that type of stuff. They're here, they're on a mission,
right,
to find some really cool technology, of which you guys have. Irina, how about you? Any highlights from your perspective?
No, it's just been really great meeting credit unions, and when we introduce ourselves, they say, "Oh, we've heard of you.
Yes.
There was this meeting."
Who hasn't?
That they brought up, and I said, "Okay, what context?" So it's actually it's very nice that we're putting a lot of effort into educating credit unions, bringing them onto our platforms, telling them about different products and regulation. It's nice that they are sharing it amongst themselves.
For sure. So yeah, you guys are doing some good stuff there, some partnership announcements and all sorts of, you guys are all over the place. So, but let's talk about, you guys did a session earlier, and it was called Custom Stablecoin. Oh, who's not talking about stablecoin? Oh my God.
Exactly.
Custom Stablecoins for Credit Unions, Shaping the Future of Payments. Oh my gosh, this one, I hope it was standing room only, because this is super popular right now. So, Marshall,
it was great.
Give us a quick overview.
It was a great session, packed audience, and we basically discussed the future vision for stablecoins, which, as you mentioned, has been a really hot topic, not just with the credit unions, but all of technology across the blockchain space, but into tech. And it was a great opportunity to connect with the other credit unions, and it kind of start with a stablecoin 101. What is a stablecoin? How does it work? And then going into the more complex questions of, how does treasury management work? What are the financial opportunities and member benefits for having this technology? How is it going to change, for example, debit and credit interchange? And we talked about that in our last. It's going to change a lot. Somebody brought that up, and I said, well, it's this is the opportunity to get ahead of it now and to see these other revenue opportunities, such as growing your balance sheet, for one, can increase the revenues just around, for example, having T-bills. You're not necessarily paying any sort of interest on these stablecoins. In fact, the new Genius and Clarity Acts stipulate that you can't. And so it's just a ripe opportunity for the credit unions, but also disrupting the peer-to-peer payments,
for sure.
E-commerce.
That's how I see it. Yeah.
Exactly. I touched on a few different things, such as this is the first time in history that we have eliminated counterfeit currency. When you use digital cash, there is no counterfeit stablecoin. It either exists or it doesn't. That's a huge de-risking on fraud and other things. But outside of that, there's the capability for instant payments, settlement, not only nationally but internationally, globally, 24/7.
Immediately, yeah, anywhere on the globe. Yeah.
And I brought up another point that I think a lot of people have not really been thinking about so much, but businesses love to have cash. Sometimes you'll see, like in the restaurant business, cash only or something.
Yeah.
Well, now you can be cash only digitally.
Yeah.
And that's like a complete change for e-commerce, for online payments, and you can have you can eliminate chargebacks. Not only can you accept digital cash, but you eliminate the ability to have a chargeback. And in the future, you can also, we're developing technology that will allow to have those protections, but also just a more transparent rule set, a better system, right? Versus like, some vendors might be nervous about Amex because the customer always wins the chargeback in that case or something like that.
Yeah.
But with stablecoins, it's all programmable, and that's something that we touched on, and I think people are very excited about.
Indeed. Irina, you want to add anything to that?
I just think it was very interesting to hear the questions, and they were ranging from, tell us the technology of your blockchain. And people, somebody from a credit union just really wanted to know how everything works. How are the keys managed? How is the network built? And all the way to, how do we generate revenues? Like, how do we manage our customers? So I think that's interesting what the credit unions are thinking about, right? Is it technology? Is it benefits to customers? Is it liquidity?
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe we are in our own world where a lot of it is technology, but we really need to hear what the credit unions need to know.
A lot of the credit union, all the fees are going away.
Yeah.
And so stablecoin's going to make interchange fee moot. So that's going to go away. So they're concerned about this type of stuff. But you guys bring it around full circle to all the positives that are going to stem from it, right? So.
Exactly. I mentioned in the session, you see some of these crypto companies like Circle. Somebody joked that they're printing cash because they're in the business of minting stablecoins, but they're doing so well. They just IPO'd, the stock's done tremendous, and it's just kind of a little microcosm of where this is all headed.
Right.
But we see it intersecting with the credit unions because the regulatory atmosphere is perfect, and the greater crypto ecosystem is really excited about working with local banks, with local credit unions, and kind of moving away from the big guys.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's the ethos ultimately of crypto, and those larger banks mistreated them, in years past. So now you have the credit unions coming and saying, "Hey, come in."
Yeah, they're positioned prime for this type of stuff. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And they better capitalize on it, or else I don't know if that opportunity is going to happen again. So.
I said I think it's the biggest opportunity in the credit union space in a long time,
many
maybe
moons.
ever.
Yeah, many moons for sure. So but on that tack, what's keeping credit unions from really jumping on board? Is it just the knowledge of it right now, the education, the awareness? I mean, what are you guys seeing out there, Irina?
So what was interesting to hear at the conference that I don't think we can get it other than in the hallways is they want to make sure that they don't offer product to their members and their members will lose money. So if they tell their members, you can buy crypto with your credit union,
right,
and they make a mistake and they buy their own crypto, the crypto goes down or something happens, they don't want to because they're supposed to be safeguarding the money of their members. And that's what I think, Marshall talks about this a lot. On our platforms we don't offer a lot of different coins. We educate people about, this is Bitcoin, this is Ethereum, this is this other coin. This is why we don't list certain coins on our platforms. Credit unions can also choose that as well. But what was interesting for me to hear that you don't hear that in Zoom meetings is we don't want to offer a product to our members that's risky or they can be perceived as risky. And maybe some of them understand the risk, but the credit unions are supposed to protect everybody.
Well, it's a conservative industry, if you guys haven't discovered so far.
Right.
Sometimes to a fault, but there's reasons for that, and that's why credit unions are so stable when it comes there. They can weather almost any economic hardship that's out there, so that's a good thing. So that's where that conservative stuff comes in. But in this case, you kind of got to let go of the reins a little bit, I think. So to jump on this
we do a lot of education. We educate people about crypto. What is it? What is a Bitcoin? What makes it go up and down? We don't predict anything, but we educate that it is volatile.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I think there is a lot of positives that can be mitigated with education.
Well, every day I see some story come across my news feed or whatever that so-and-so is adopting stablecoins, so-and-so is adopting, all these really well-known organizations, whether it's financial or not, are adopting this type of stuff. So, like it or not, it's mainstream. So
that's exactly right.
Did you guys address that in there as well? I'm sure you did.
We did, and we Irina mentioned our Metal Blockchain Banking Innovation Program, which has been hugely popular, specifically with the credit unions. We have over 750 members in the program now, and it seems like every day we're getting new stablecoin pilot applicants. But some of the questions that some of the questions that came up were, well, what kind of controls do we have around the stablecoin? Can we know who's sending from A to B? Can we, meet the BSA requirements and the compliance requirements that we have in our credit union today? And that's what we built at Metallicus. It wasn't always the popular thing to utilize digital identity, but we made the prediction that decentralized protocols will use this stuff. And then once you have those tools, a whole new platform of options opens up, because now you can recover private keys. You'll never have anyone lose their crypto again. You know where money's coming from and going to. If you want to real-time notify multiple institutions if someone sends from A to B to C, they can all be notified real-time, where in the past you maybe had the compliance agent or officer calling bank A or calling credit union A to call credit union B to call credit union C, and can all be automated. Aside from that, the digital loyalty and rewards that can be tied in, that can be easily programmable. One question that came up was, well, in a public blockchain, what happens if I accidentally send to the wrong address? And our solution to that is, we're not only offering stablecoins, but we're planning on helping credit unions launch their own private permissioned blockchains. So they can go in, freeze accounts, recover keys. They can do all these things real time, and they have this kind of sandbox. It still connects to public networks with Metal blockchain like Ethereum and other popular networks. But inside these private permission chains that can talk to each other because of Metal blockchain's technology, it makes them interoperable. So you can move assets from one credit union's private chain to another, to maybe a public chain. But we anticipate that a lot of people may just stay inside these private permission chains, and it gives the credit union more control than they've ever had before.
Exactly, and that's the other goal for credit unions with this type of stuff, is keeping them in the credit union ecosystem. Right. Because once they go out, it's never, take the Robinhood example, if you will. People go invest on Robinhood, and they make that money's not coming back.
Right.
So in this case, it can stay in that ecosystem, which makes the industry that much more valuable.
Yeah, exactly, to your point, because we mentioned that in the session that members are seeing flight to Robinhood, to Coinbase, to our platform, and it doesn't usually come back. Right. Maybe they have the Robinhood credit card or debit card. Maybe they have the Coinbase card. They don't necessarily need to bring it back, and then they feel that, well, if there are all these other crypto services, why don't I just stay over here until I need to bring some back? And maybe they're only bringing a portion of profits back or something, and not the full deposit. But with our model, not only can we prevent the flight, every time somebody buys a Bitcoin inside your credit union with Metal API, it stays inside the credit union. So if people come and buy $1 billion of crypto inside your credit union, now your assets under management have grown by $1 billion.
A little bit, and that's a good thing.
Yes, exactly.
I want to cut to the chase here. So what was your big call to action? Or what was the big message that you wanted to get across? I'm going to let Irina go first. Or maybe I should let Marshall go first.
I mean, we want to make sure that nobody's late to the game.
Thank you.
And this is why we started the pilot program, because that's just you could play with it. But then, we want credit unions to understand, what's the next step? Let's take the next step. And whatever it takes, education, technology, integrations, board approvals, all of those things need to align, right? And, we're happy to help with some of those things that we can influence, but that's the call to action, that this is going to happen.
Yeah. I think some people in the ballroom like that suggestion a lot. So they're already screaming and hollering for it. Marshall, how about you? The big call to action from your perspective?
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of what Irina said. Our call to action is really to come and join our banking innovation program, so we can educate your executive team, your members. We can start to play with the technology, so we can walk before we run, and to really take a hard look at what's happening in the digital asset space and seize the opportunity, because like I said earlier, the regulation has just passed. We have the Genius Act, the Clarity Act. You have a very crypto-friendly regulator with the NCUA. And Chairman Kyle Huntman, who's been very great to the crypto space and I think understands it very well. And so the atmosphere aligning with all of these, I called it like the stars aligning. You have the crypto space that was formerly debanked by a lot of the large banks and not treated very well.
Yeah, you're right about that.
They believe in the ethos of the credit unions because that aligns with the ethos of Bitcoin and blockchain. And they want to come and they want to keep their assets inside of the credit union. So, would you keep your life savings in your PayPal account? Probably not.
Not really.
It's probably not a good idea. No offense, PayPal,
Yeah.
but you want to keep it inside a credit union or a bank, and that's what people want with digital assets. So the stars have aligned in that sense that the technology is evolving. People want to, members want to keep crypto and buy and trade crypto inside the credit union, and now we also have an opportunity to help the credit union space grow on the technology side, but also retain deposits to prevent deposits from flowing out to third parties. It's a huge one, and also just to stay relevant with Gen Z. Gen Z loves crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, really all ages. I'm a
yeah.
millennial, but I love crypto. My grandfather's 91 years old. He loves crypto. And I know even I don't know what the one before Gen Z is called, but the
I'm all
youth.
lost in the generations. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's somebody.
Even those
Alpha.
the very young kids that are they're in middle school, whatever. They even have Dogecoin. They have crypto. So you have all age ranges. And on the Gen Z point, I think that this is a tremendous opportunity because they see this phenomenon, and when the credit unions embrace blockchain, I think the younger generation is just going to flow into the credit unions.
That is a big deal in this industry. I think we talked about on our last episode about the credit unions need to get younger membership-wise, big time. And I think
this is the way.
One of the ways to do it for sure. Yeah. And the other thing, as you're talking, I'm thinking about how the younger generations are getting into this. I mean, and it's making us or making them more financially literate, which is what we didn't have in previous generations. My generation,
100%.
If you can balance a checkbook, oh yeah. Look how much trouble that gets me in,
When I was in college, 20 years ago as a freshman, the first thing I saw walking out of my dormitory in Boston was these people trying to sell me a credit card.
Yeah,
and you have a lot of young people who got those.
Trouble.
They got into trouble.
Yeah.
They got those cards, and there wasn't really a lot of financial literacy in schools and things like that to teach these things, unfortunately. And the interesting thing about blockchain that I find, especially with the younger generation, is they learn how money works.
Yep.
They say, well, how does Bitcoin work? Yeah. And then it's like, wait, how is the U.S. dollar printed? What's quantitative easing?
They want to know the history in the background,
Yeah, and everybody who gets into blockchain and crypto learns these things. And so now you're having savvier young people who are not getting so much into debt, but they're investing into crypto. They're using DeFi to learn, I think Albert Einstein called it, one of the great world wonders is compounding interest.
Yes,
they're discovering compounding interest.
Yeah.
And that's huge.
Yeah, and that's a wonderful byproduct of all of this type of stuff, that we're going to be more aware and just more comfortable with money and talking about it freely. So where previous generation, it was almost taboo to talk about money around the table. So now
people are excited about it.
For sure.
And
they can talk about crypto and it's not money, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a whole different.
There's a commercial. I can't remember what commercial it is. I think it's a Verizon or something like that, where they have to go to the doghouse. But the little girl who's probably like in 8th grade, I invested in crypto, and by golly, we're gonna rally, and here's this 12-year-old girl talking about crypto. I love it. So
it's really brought, especially mentioning Gen Z, the younger generation are building startups on this. And I mean, really, all from the largest tech companies, like you mentioned earlier, you see like Fiserv launching their stablecoin product. You've got PayPal. You have Bank of America has more blockchain patents than any company in the crypto space. And now the floodgates are open, and the light is shining on credit unions as this is the opportunity.
Now's the time. Now's the time. All right, guys. Well, I'm sure we could talk another 3 hours on this topic. I know you guys could, but anything else to add to wrap up before I let you go for the rest of the show? Irina, any final thoughts here on this topic?
This is my first conference at the credit union space, and I just love it. I think everybody's I love that the credit unions are friends with each other.
Oh yeah. That's cool to see.
I mean,
How many other?
I don't know if banks are gonna come.
No.
Not the same.
Because they're all sitting and they're asking the questions, and they know they're not competing for anything because they have their own specific demographics that they serve, and they want to be helpful to each other. They want to be friendly with each other. They want each other to succeed. And it's like what Marshall said. It's how crypto started. That's what crypto is all about. And not to be too Kool-Aid-ish. I don't know. But
along the same lines, for sure. Marshall, final thoughts, sir, on this? There's not a final thought on it, but for this interview.
Yeah, it's just great to be here at the conference and meeting with so many credit unions and CUSOs. And, what I would say to anyone watching this is, if you're interested in stablecoins, blockchain technology, and you work in the credit union space, come and join our program, our blockchain banking innovation program. We have over 750 members. It's growing every day. We have new members coming in.
Guys.
Thanks. And we run educational programs and seminars because, like I said earlier, you have to kind of walk before you can run. And we want to help the credit unions get up to speed. And when they're ready, we have the full vertical stack of technology for them. So Metallicus.com, and you can come check us out.
We'll be paying attention. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Studio Lounge interviews brought to you by Cook Solutions Group. A quick word from our sponsor, Community Financial's President CEO Tansley Stern's new podcast, Despite Impossible.